Well, a very good evening to you and welcome to the news. I'm Ebere Ugunna. In the news tonight, state government calls for increased private sector partnership in the health sector. Journalists urge to uphold professionalism in covering electoral processes. Ondo State Assembly impeaches Speaker and Deputy. On the foreign scene tonight, one person killed, 2 others injured in knife attack in Melbourne, Australia. And now details of the news. State government has called for increased private sector partnership and collaboration in the health sector to ensure easy access to quality healthcare delivery by the people. Deputy Governor Dr. Nkemokeke made the call when he inspected the ongoing rehabilitation work at the Enugu General Hospital, Enugu in Njikoka Council area. Correspondent Ejike Bana report is taken from our studios.
The Enugu General Hospital is one of the 3 general hospitals designated for rehabilitation in the 3 senatorial districts by Governor Willie Obiano. On arrival, ABS cited an ongoing building on the site, which is already at the decking level, while workers were seen mixing concrete and laying blocks. The 2-story building has provisions for wards, consulting rooms, theaters, diagnosing centers, and maternity. While expressing satisfaction with the quality of work done so far, Deputy Governor Okeke said that Medicare remains a top priority of the present administration, but regretted that funding has been a challenge to finance some of the projects. While assuring of the state government's determination to finance the projects to completion, the Deputy Governor pointed out that the governor recently approved and released some funds for the projects, adding that there is another part of the contract that needs to be approved for them to get additional funding.
I believe that the way they're going, if funding is made available by next year, early next year, this will be ready for use. It shows the commitment from His Excellency. It's not just an election talk. This is something that needs to be done, and it's a priority. The health sector is a major priority for the governor to make sure that we have people who can have access to good quality healthcare services. As you know, we already have a health insurance scheme that's on, which means that people cannot go to hospital and get proper treatment without having to pay for it. So these are things the government is trying to do to make sure that citizens, are taken care of. It's a social service, of course. If you know, it's not very expensive to provide the necessary healthcare people need. Basic healthcare. That's what we're trying to achieve in the state.
Mr. Eric Najuba, representing the contractor handling the project, promised that with the continuous assistance from the government, the project will be completed by early next year. Dr. Habat Abasi, a senior medical officer who spoke on behalf of the Chief Medical Director of Enugu General Hospital, expressed joy that increased activities are being witnessed on the site, expressing the hope that the project will be completed soon.
Yes, it's a thing of joy. We saw increased activities since last month, after some months of lull in the project. So we are quite happy that it's going on very well right now. So at least let it be completed and put to use in our own time before we go. So I'm quite happy that the work is going on very well.
The Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Mr. C. Don Adinoba, has urged journalists in the southeast region of the country to be more responsive in their reportage in covering the electioneering process ahead of the 2019 general elections. Mr. Adinoba made a call at a one-day workshop on election coverage and reporting for broadcast journalists in the southeast region of the country, facilitated by the Anambra Broadcasting Service and Ford Foundation. David Okwasile was at the workshop and now reports.
Commissioner, who underscored the centrality of the broadcasting on other media practitioners in ensuring peaceful, free and fair credible polls, asked journalists to be guided by national, state and local interests in the reportage and resist being used as tools to cause disharmony in the society.
We had an election last year, and it turned out to be the most peaceful election ever conducted by INEC. Anambra is not only the safest state in terms of almost total absence of violent crime, but it's also in terms of sense of solidarity.
Mr. Uche Nwora, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of ABS, who spoke on behalf of the facilitators of the program and the sponsor, Ford Foundation, explained that the workshop was timely because of the fast approaching election to serve as a platform for journalists to update themselves with the codes ethics, and demands of effectively covering the pre-election, the election, and post-election activities.
Journalists trying to, be security conscious during elections. That's an aspect that we don't normally, although we've been quite happy in Anambra State. Anambra is a very peaceful state. But I mean, for those that don't live in Anambra listening to us, as a journalist, when you're going out to cover election, you need to be prepared. Have all the right gear. If it's possible to get insurance, get your organization to do insurance for you. I mean, that will also be helpful.
Delivering a lecture on the theme, MBC Guidelines on Election Coverage and Reporting, the Zonal Director of the Commission, Mrs. Susan Obi, reiterated the need for broadcast journalists to strictly observe the codes of political reporting and to properly and accurately inform their audience without bias, while the resident Electoral Commissioner of Independent National Electoral Commission, Anambra State, Dr. Nkwachukwoji, called against reports that will undermine the electoral process.
Because we noticed that some people normally would print their ballot paper, take a photo of it, and use it to go and solicit for money, which is a violation of what the regulation says. It's not that the law talks about secrecy of the vote, so it violates the secrecy of the vote. And in order to contain that, what we did was to put a prohibition on use of smartphone inside the voting cubicle, not in the voting unit.
In Oka, this is David Obopasele reporting, Fabius News.
And away from that, the Nigerian Medical Association, Anambra State chapter, has officially handed over 4 trained toilets constructed by the association to the Anambra State government. Chibuz Okoye has details.
The toilets, which were constructed for the flood-affected persons at Atani, Obaro Council area, were received by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Joe Akabike, represented by the Anambra State Hospital Administrator, Dr. Richmond Achubu. The commissioner said that the state NMA were the first group to respond to the plight of the affected persons and commended them for their tireless efforts and professional dispositions throughout the time of the flood menace. He said their intervention helped immensely in eliminating the outbreak of diseases that would have occurred for lack of defecation facilities during the period across the holding centers in the state. Dr. Akabike maintained that the Willie Obiano administration will continue to partner with the Medical Association to give the Anambra world-class health services at all times.
Good toilets, disposal system for the waste, human waste. Nobody knew the number of people that they camped here, so you couldn't plan for that quite ahead of time. But this issue came up, and as members of the noble profession, the medical doctors of this state, the Nigerian Medical Association, I know, must have anticipated what will happen if this large population of people were not catered for in the issues of proper waste disposal.
Handing over the toilets, the state chairman of the association, Dr. Emmanuel Muonago, represented by his vice, Dr. Jide Onyekwelu, said that the toilets had been put into use since 13th of October 2018. He explained that trench toilet is a makeshift emergency latrine and disclosed that the trench toilets have served the urgent health need of putting the human feces beyond the reach of flies and rodents that are agents of transmission of diarrhea diseases from feces. He assured of their readiness to always partner with the state government.
As the commissioner said, NMA extends a hand of collaboration to your ministry. We are happy with the giant strides the Honorable Commissioner for Health has been doing in Anambra State to ensure that we have affordable, appropriate, accessible, quality health care in Anambra State for our people, for the Anambra. We are the doctors. We want to collaborate with your ministry to ensure that this thing continues. This good gesture you've started, it continues until we'll have health care for everybody, equitable, affordable, quality health care for everybody in Anambra State.
The Transition Committee Chairman of Obaro Local Government Area, Comrade Arinzechuhu Awogu, equally praised the state NMA for their benevolence. The Flood Relief Committee Chairman, Obaro Local Government Area, Honorable Ben Wanosike, was also present at the official handover exercise. from Atani in Obaru local government area. It's been Chibuzo Okoye for ABS News.
Nigerians have been charged to work collectively towards protecting the environment from abuse. The charge was given at a public presentation and launching of a book in Awka by the law firm of Professor Meshach Umenweke and Associates. Correspondent Valentine Mbadura was there for the ABS Now reports.
The occasion, which attracted high-profile intellectuals and top government officials within the state and beyond, featured unveiling and launching of 2 different books, which include The Law of Environmental Protection in the Manufacturing, Oil and Gas Industries in Nigeria, and The Sorrows of Solomon, which is a novel. In an opening remark, the chairman on the occasion, Chief Emma Odum, and Professor Meshach Umenweke, who is the chairman of Professor M.N. Umenweke and Associates, described the author as a patriotic citizen and commended his intellectual achievements. They recommended the book for everyone, noting that it is knowledge-driven and of great value to the society with regards to the environment.
I had the opportunity of seeing the books. They are very interesting. What we're trying to do is to let us understand these laws so that we can go to court and the some authorities, those of our Indian authorities, and he is saying there are laws, a lot of laws, but the implementation is the problem.
I want to commend this book for our reading and our enlightenment in the area of environmental laws.
Contributing, the chief launcher, Chief Bat Nwibe, who viewed the book as a great artwork that will enhance and foster development within the country, advised government at all levels to get copies of the book, which he said will help them enact laws that will provide solutions to the environmental challenges facing the country.
The book presented by Kingsley today is very, very, very germane for where we are in Anambra State today. Protecting the environment should be very important to the people of Anambra State, because if we start producing the oil and gas we have there and the refinery comes on stream, then we really need to have a good environmental plan.
Responding, the author of the book, Kenneth Kingsley Ezibe, who is also a legal practitioner, appreciated all that contributed to the success of the event and those that launched his book for their great support. He revealed that he was motivated to write on environmental challenges facing the country as a result of the poor waste management by industries, and advised that the content of the book should be put into practical use for effective and enhanced environmental protection. The author, however, maintained that the second book, Sorrows of Solomon, was aimed at encouraging youths and lovers of education to always read for more and better knowledge and information.
If we don't read what you wrote, it is meaningless. It's hard to get people to go back to reading, the reading culture. You know, they always say, people say that if you want to hide anything from a black man, you should put it in a book. To a large extent, it's true. People hardly read. They only read to pass exam. People read to pass exam. They don't read for pleasure.
In attendance, we are the members of Capital Friends Club of Awka, the Unique Fellows Friends Club, members of the Environmental Health Association of Nigeria, Anambra chapter, amongst other numerous dignitaries. The event featured review and unveiling of the 2 books. In Awka, Valentine Mbadura reporting for ABS News.
The handover ceremony of the re-awarded Abagana Goli erosion site has been performed at the palace of the traditional ruler of Abagana, Igwe Mbamalu Okeke. Speaking at the event, the project coordinator for New Map, Mr. Michael Evenza, disclosed that the contractor was selected based on their proven capacity of delivery, having delivered in different states under the project. He charged the contractors to ensure that the communities were always carried along, while urging the community not to interfere with the contractor's work and assured of strict supervision of the project. Responding, the technical team leader for the contracting firm, Engineer Onyibo, while thanking New Map for the opportunity to prove themselves in Abagana, pledged the firm's commitment in assuring that the project is delivered to standard and in record time. He assured the community of a close working relationship, stating that they are reputed with working well with the communities. In his remarks, Igwe Okeke expressed the community's appreciation to Governor Willie Obiano for coming to their rescue. He disclosed that the gully has given the community sleepless nights and expressed relief on the engagement of the contractor. He urged the contractor to ensure that the control work is delivered within a record time and assured of the security of lives and equipment of the contractor. The event featured handover of the contract documents to the contractor by the PMU team and some community leaders in the presence of the monarch. And we're moving on to our national stories. Speaker Ondo State House of Assembly, Mr. Bamidele Oloye and his deputy, Mr. Iroju Ogundeji, have been impeached. Both leaders were impeached on Friday on allegations of gross misconduct. Iroju Ogundeji was impeached earlier this year, but he was later reinstated. According to the media report, lawmaker Sunday Olajide moved the motion for the impeachment, while another lawmaker, Oluyede Fayide, seconded the motion. After the impeachment of the two officers, the lawmakers elected Mr. Olamide George as the new speaker, while lawmakers Abimbola Fajalu emerged as the deputy speaker. The changes were effected in a rowdy plenary session where Jumoke Akindele was picked as the acting speaker prior to the emergence of the new leadership. In his inaugural speech, the new speaker, Olumide George, said that the impeachment of the two leaders was aimed at correcting certain lapses in House, including misconduct and not a witch hunting of anyone. According to reports, 18 lawmakers out of 26 members of the House carried out the impeachment, while policemen were stationed around the premises to forestall any breakdown of law and order. And on business news tonight, the government of the United States of America and France are interested in Nigeria Air. The federal government has announced. It also dismissed claims that the process for the establishment of the national carrier was suspended due to the lack of investors. Speaking at the 5th Aviation Stakeholders Forum in Abuja, the Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, also explained that the planned national carrier was suspended because the first transaction advisor, Lufthansa, that was to spell out the ownership model in the privatization and shareholding process did not complete the process. He said Lufthansa was replaced due to its outrageous demands, which included opening an escrow account, refusal to pay tax, and demand for 75% upfront payment. The minister outlined ready investors in the national carrier to include the African Development Bank, Islamic Development Bank, the governments of the United States and France, among others. He said the estimated funding requirement for the establishment of the project was $300 million up to 2020, and an initial startup capital of $55 million made up of $25 million for the deposit for new aircraft and $30 million for working capital from June to December 2018. On the foreign scene tonight, a ninth-worlding man stabbed 3 people in Melbourne, killing one of them in what Australian police are treating as an act of terrorism. The incident began Friday afternoon when a fire started in a car on busy Swatson Street in the city centre, and a man emerged and engaged with members of the public, Victoria Police Chief Commissioner Graham Ashton told reporters Friday. When police arrived, the man punched one of the officers through the police car window and began threatening them when they got out of the car to confront him. After lunging at them with a knife, one officer shot the suspect in the chest. He was rushed to the hospital under police guard and later died, Ashton said. He said the police were not releasing the suspect's identity due to operational reasons, but confirmed that he was known to authorities because some of his family members were persons of interest. He explained that only after he was shot did police realize that 3 members of the public, all men, had been stabbed and 1 died in the hospital, while 2 are being treated for their injuries. After putting out the fire in the car, authorities found what Ashton described as barbecue-style bottles of gasoline inside the vehicle, which prompted authorities to call the bomb response unit to the scene. Streets were closed, trams halted, and nearby buildings evacuated as police rushed to the scene, which was crowded with shoppers and commuters late on Friday afternoon local time. And on sports news, the Confederation of African Football has approved the Ape Aku Stadium Makurdi for the home matches of Lobby Stars in the 2019 CAF Champions League. CAF Regional Coordinator and Inspector Salisu Abubakar inspected facilities at the stadium accompanied by ex-international Nasiru Jubril, expressed satisfaction with the facilities at the venue. He noted that there were still technical areas that needed to be put in order before the first game on November 27. The club's vice chairman, Mike Idoko, said the club was working hard to represent Nigeria well in the competition. He said the team were already in camp in Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State. He said the team played some friendly matches in Lagos and Togo. The chief of staff to Benue State Governor Tewase Obunde, who is also the chairman of the fundraising committee, said they were working round the clock to source funds to ensure Lobi win the competition. It was a celebration of life as people from all walks of life converge on the Obi Okpuno Ebu Mudim Newi Not Council area for the funeral ceremony of late Chief Jonathan Orizu. Late Chief Orizu, who died at the age of 88 years, was at the Obi of Umudim village and Odumodu Newi, and is survived by 2 wives, 7 children, many grandchildren, and numerous other relations. Queen Anambra was there for the ABS and filed this report.
Chief Orizu died in September this year and has since been buried according to the custom and traditions of the Newi community. In his sermon during the well-attended funeral ceremony, the vicar in charge of St. Stephen's Anglican Church, Umudim Newi, Venerable Arinze Anene, while recounting how the deceased rose from grass to grace through hard work, asked his children to take solace in the fact that their father lived to a ripe old age. Venerable Anene, who spoke on the topic, "You need to see Jesus," explained that sin makes one short, spiritually bankrupt, and advised people to embrace Jesus for a transformed life.
Man as a Christian, yet a man of Jesus. Man as a Chuku, dear better, yet a man of Chuku. He was living a life of contradiction. How can your name be pure and your life is not pure?
In an interview, one of the wives of the deceased, Mrs. Ego Orizu, said the death of her husband has created a vacuum no one else can fill, and asked the children to continue to live together in unity without discrimination. In their separate remarks, some of the children, including Dr. Ifani Orizu, Pastor Dr. Mrs. Chuku, and Mrs. Joy Izuchuku, who spoke affectionately about their late father, said he was known for his kindness, generosity, and was a person who became somebody for nobody.
Oh, he was a very generous, honorable, honest.
My father is a person of integrity. I try as much as possible to maintain that integrity wherever I am, because he was somebody that maintained integrity, and that is why you are seeing the caliber of people that you are seeing today. Everyone, the good things. I learned a lot. Loving people, no matter where they are.
In their condolence message, the People's Club International, speaking through their president, Chief Romanus Eke Dozie, said the late Chief Orizu was a very nice man that was always ready to help. Special prayers for the family, funeral oration, musical renditions, condolence visits from friends and well-wishers featured in the ceremony. From Nnewi, Queen Anambra, ABS News.
And that's it on ABS Television News tonight. Remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging onto our website, www.absradiotv.com. Like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television. You can also follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. And just before we go tonight, a quick reminder of our top stories. State government is called for increased private sector partnership in the health sector. The State Deputy Governor, Dr. Okeke, made the call while inspecting rehabilitation work at Enugu General Hospital. Journalists have been urged to uphold professionalism in covering electoral processes. Ondo State Assembly has impeached House Speaker and Deputy. On the foreign scene, we're brought to you that one person has been killed, 2 others injured in knife attack in Melbourne, Australia. And that's the size of our package tonight. Many thanks for joining us. I'm Ebere Ugunna.